Hey, what's up, pups? Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that takes a look at what's happening in pop culture because I love a lot of things in pop culture, and like many things in this world, it tends to be bastardized and infiltrated by a bunch of tourists and buttholes that shouldn't even be in there to begin with. And my goal in this show is to bring about, hopefully, information and news updates that keep you on your tippy toes about where all that is taking place. But ultimately, we can look at the past and look at nostalgia and the sake of entertainment for being entertained. That doesn't make any sense. The sake of being entertained for entertainment's sake is dying, and we need to rekindle that flame. So if you enjoy that, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to get notified when we go live. Right now, we're working on shows Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, game streaming, 8 p.m. Central Time. And then Power Up podcasts are now Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're doing that. And right now we're on YouTube, Rumble, and X, so you can check me out over there on those. And other social media is in the description listed below or in the link tree on my bio on Twitch. Or not Twitch, X. Oh my gosh, Twitter, Twitch. Getting my T's confused. But yeah, got quite a bit of stories that caught my interest. The biggest one, apparently, about confirmation about Assassin's Creed with the whole Yasuke backlash. And from the titles I'm reading, unless they're huge clickbait, sounds like indeed it was the reason why it was delayed is indeed because of the Yasuke backlash. So we'll look into that. I also got other articles pulled up, such as, Matt Walsh being retarded when it comes to anime again. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which just dropped like a trailer or something. Animation looks terrible. I don't know why they're going with that one, but they are. And some other stuff too. So let's hop into it. Well, bam. So this comes from Video Game Chronicle. This caught my eye. And that is millions of dollars of prototype Pokemon cards may have been faked, it's claimed. Vintage Pokemon cards worth up to $55,000 may have been printed in 2004. Uh-oh. Where are those experts? Where are those, what is it, the Beckett's, BGS? Beckett's grading system? Where were those experts at? Experts. So $1 million worth of Pokemon cards, which were claimed to have been printed prior to the creation of the Pokemon trading card game, TCG itself, may have been faked, it's been claimed. Prior to the introduction of the Pokemon TCG, prototype cards were made in order to test the game mechanics. Naturally, these cards are incredibly rare, with copies of them largely being lost to time or hidden in private collections. 2024, hundreds of these cards appeared on auction sites, with most of these cards coming from the personal collection of Takumi Yakabane, one of the 6 main creators of the trading card game. Pokemon Card Grading Company CGC worked with Akabane to, quote, verify these prototype cards. And then following the verification from CGC, some of these cards sold for as much as $55,000 at auctions due to their rarity and condition. Now it appears that some of these cards, including those from Akabane's collection, may have in fact been printed last year. In a post to the Elite Forum, a user called PRF, who bought some of these prototype cards, has alleged that they are in fact replicas that were printed on a commercial printer in June of 2024. This has been discovered due to the fact that modern printers leave metadata on everything they print via extremely faint patterns. These patterns can be seen in high-resolution scans or under certain lighting conditions. Uh-oh. So this has a little subtitle here. It says PRF claims some of the cards have a very faint yellow dots, recolored purple here, which make up the printer's metadata. In this case, they allege that the dots say the image was printed on June 29th of 2024. I'm assuming it's literally all that stuff. So in a statement to Polka Beach, PRF said, "It was really disheartening to find this out. More than the financial aspect, I thought it was cool to own a piece of history, and it's unfortunate it turned out this way." Alt Auction House, one of the auction house selling these cards, said, "We're aware of recent claims regarding CGC graded Pokemon prototype and playtest cards that have sold across various platforms. CGC has assured us they are taking these allegations seriously and conducting a thorough review. And we're staying in close communications with CGC, and we will share updates as they become available." Yeah, if it turns out that they were indeed faked and printed like within last year, then you got, definitely got fraud, that's for sure. You got, a financial, claim of loss or something. I'm sure you can go to the, do something there. But then also, who the Pokemon card company, the grading company, if these are supposed to be the experts, then how did these slip by so easily, Because I'm curious about this person. Like, the unfortunate thing is, maybe we could find another article. The unfortunate thing is this guy doesn't talk about like what made him check to make sure, that this was indeed, not forgery or anything like that. Because then it can all tie into like, the cahoots with each other. Like who's to say, they're all the companies that graded it and the people involved and stuff were all in on it to swindle money out of people. Let's see, vintage Pokemon card. I want it's faked. Oh gosh, very first one, the article that I find is by Kotaku. Oh no. There's Nintendo Life. We could look up Nintendo Life to see what's up with that. Oh gosh, that's annoying. So here it is again. So the enormously popular Pokemon trading card game continues to attract huge number of players willing to pay vast sums to catch them all, especially rare cards. However, some detective worked by Pokemon Flying Master on Elite Form, thanks VGC, suggests that prototype cards from the mid-90s, which first went up for auction last year, could be fakes. First, a little background. Prior to the debut of the Pokemon Trading Card Company in Japan back in 1996, the makers printed up prototype cards during the game's development. The rarity of these pre-release playtest cards make them highly sought after, and a significant cache. Wouldn't that be catch of them went up? And a significant cache of them went up. Oh, okay. I should have probably, maybe keep on reading instead of just stopping. So it went up for sale in 2024. Ooh, same year that they're claiming that it was faked. Had been verified by the company CGC, and then they highlighted how they worked closely with Takume Akabane, one of the original designers of the card game, to verify the card's authenticity. However, upon close examination and armed with knowledge of the near-invisible watermarks modern printers use, many of these playtest cards appeared to be recently printed replicas, as detailed in PFM's research. I say PMFS. So we got here little different photos here. And the forensic analysis is based on a series of small tracking dots that are practically invisible to the naked eye, but which can be better seen by tweaking the color values of a high-resolution scan. This form of metadata typically gives the time and date it was printed and the serial number of the printer itself, and is used by law enforcement and other agencies to track the origin of documents. In this case, PFM has enhanced and analyzed the patterns of several of the cards, and they appear to contain data indicating a print date of June 2024. Although the, quote, higher quality cards show no sign of the data, I have yet to find a low quality beta playtest that doesn't have a similar dot pattern, they wrote in their post. Various cards that came from Akabane's personal collection are said to have this pattern on them, and other users have come forward showing similar markings on their cards. Speaking to Poca Beach, PFM said it was a real disheartening discovery. One alpha prototype Pikachu card sold by Auction House Golden fetched $24,400 in December, and with hundreds of these cards on the market, the allegations have shaken the trading card community. And apparently this is no stranger to controversy, with rushes on newly released sets regularly causing a ruckus at retail, causing the Pokemon Company to address the situation. There's no sort of allegation when it comes to shadiness in the grading industry either. Hey, I pointed that out not too long ago, as in like 10 minutes ago. The October release of the Pokemon trading card game Pocket has invigorated mainstream interest in the game, with the mobile game generating over $120 million in revenue in its first month. So there you go. We got a little bit more of that information. Well, that is sure crazy indeed. I still try to collect the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. That's the game I used to play back in the day. Another article from Video Game Chronicle here is talking about Gears of War, the Gears of War E-Day. Xbox has enlisted a veteran Gears of War studio to co-develop the next series entry, and that is apparently the studio that did Gears of War Judgment. The studio People Can Fly is co-developing Gears of War E-Day. The Polish developer has a long-standing history with the franchise, dating back to when it was owned by original creator Epic Games. It was a co-development partner on Gears of War 1 through 3, and the lead developer of Gears of War Judgment. Returning to collaborate on the next chapter of this legendary saga is both a privilege and an exciting opportunity to build up the intense, visceral action and rich storytelling that fans have come to love. Well, the original 1 through 3, the other ones, said People Can Fly CEO Sebastian Wojciechowski. I don't know if I said that right, but sorry. We are deeply grateful for our partners' trust and support on this journey. Microsoft announced the next mainline entry in the Gears of War series at last summer's Xbox Game Showcase. E-Day is billed as an origin story that depicts the horror of the Locust invasion on Emergency Day through the eyes of Marcus Phoenix. Following its reveal, it was claimed that Microsoft could release the game in 2025, so this year. Ooh. Gears of War E-Day is not just our next major game. It's a return to what makes Gears of War games special and authentic. Mike Crump, studio head at the Coalition, said in today's announcement, "We're pleased to be partnering with the talented folks at People Can Fly, who have been part of our franchise legacy for so long." And then the development director from People Can Fly, Gualama, I don't know how to say that one either. Barry added, "Our team at People Can Fly, made up of dedicated Gears of War fans. Are they fans, or do they actually work on it, or are they both?" Being a little nitpicky, but that is important information to know. "It's pouring everything we have into creating an experience that will exceed expectation. While we can't share more just yet, we're eager for the day when we can show all the exciting things we've been working on." And yet, last month, People Can Fly announced plans to lay off a significant number of employees due to, quote, external market pressures. And again, the CEO said the Painkiller, Bulletstorm, and Outriders studio was, quote, suspending or parting ways with more than 120 talented aviators as it reduced its self-publishing plans and suspended work on an unannounced game. I think we read that too. All right, so I mean, we are seeing just people being let go left and right. And for why? You know, because it's just like game companies cannot figure out how to make a good game. Because if you make a good game, then you wouldn't have to let go of people. But this is Gears of War, they said. It should be good, they said. But that is kind of, on the plus side, it is good to hear that apparently a lot of people who worked on the original Gears of War 1 through 3 are coming back to work on it. But then it also, you kind of wonder, is it like literally the same people, or are those people gone, you know? I think Stuttering Craig point that out. A lot of like the developers and stuff from games that we enjoyed from the past, they're probably not in the industry anymore. So even if like, oh, it's the studio that originally worked on it, doesn't matter. You know, because of all the people who made the game what it was are gone, then it's, you know, who cares if the studio that used to work on it is working on it again? If there's new people, can they replicate what was done in the past? Who knows? So I saw the trailer for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it looks like crap. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with like animations just going shit, especially in the West. Anime and that stuff is kind of okay, but you know, could be a tad bit better. But man, the West is like, unless it's like Pixar, you know, or something like that, it is going down the shitter. And Disney should be good with animation. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man voice actor, my biggest fear was that it was going to be annoying and woke. This comes from Niche Gamer. So that's what caught my eye. So Hudson Thomas, the voice actor for Spider-Man in Marvel's What If series and the upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, attempted to reassure fans by sharing his fear that the show would be annoying and woke. Well, it already is. That's the thing. Like, who cares? Like, you're saying this, but you, at the end of the day, still took that paycheck. So you're going to do whatever you can to make it seem like you're supporting the show. Again, keep in mind, these people that make these claims of like, oh, I was a fan, I was worried about it, but then when I got in there, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, money talks, you know? And these are supposed to be the people who will stand by their, you know, their morals and values, like, to the extreme until money comes around. But I'm kind of going in hard without even reading what it has to say. But Hudson here gave his answer in an interview with Collider, saying, I thought it was awesome. I mean, my biggest fear was that it was going to be annoying and woke. And it wasn't. And I was like, yes, this is great. It's so well written. Like, it feels real. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so I feel like I kind of know what's happening in their lives and in high school. And it felt like it was doing that justice. Notice how he doesn't really go into detail. He just says, oh, I was worried about it, but then I wasn't. It's like, okay. And then you trail off by going, oh, it was so well written. But even then, that's like very little information is given. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has come under fire for reimagining Harry and Norman Osborn as black men. Once again, us gingers getting blackwashed. Similar anger has been directed at the inclusion of Nico Minoru, a member of, quote, the Runaways, who some are erroneously assuming to be the woke version of Mary Jane. Woke has become an increasingly nebulous term in recent months, with people using it to refer to everything from corporate censorship to tokenism to unironic bigotry, with culture war schisms being drawn along those lines. We like to take this time to remind our readers of our commitment to freedom of expression, regardless of who it comes from. Okay. Oh, they're just. I clicked who, and it was like they did a review of Dustborn. Well, that game failed. They also reviewed Alex Jones' NWO Wars review. So that's literally all he said to assure fans that it's not going to be woke. How is it not going to be woke? Well, it isn't. Why? Okay, like go further. Oh, it's written well. Well, what about it is makes it well written? Oh, I don't know. Feels like I can relate to what it was like to be in high school. It's like, well, if you went to school, then everyone should know what it feels like to go to high school. Wow, what a short article. And not very convincing, by the way, too. Again, he's probably just saying this because of that paycheck. Because probably has royalties maybe somehow tied into it. So please watch the show. Is secretly what he's saying. So Matt Walsh has been retarded before when it comes to the culture war in terms of conservatives, and he's back at it again. I know this is a couple days ago, but I never sat down and really look into it because I just saw it on Twitter. So Matt Walsh attacks anime again, says men who like it are morbidly obese. Well, I'm not anymore. I used to be, but I decided to better my life, did keto, and lost a lot of weight. Still trying to lose some, trying to get back into the gym. So right-wing pundit and Daily Wire host Matt Walsh has been attracting controversy by once again making inflammatory statements against anime fans and gamers. It started earlier this week, the anniversary of Matt Walsh's infamous statement that anime is satanic. Walsh took some time to reflect on this moment and chose to double down, saying that yes, anime is, quote, probably satanic or at least Satan influence. Here's a newsflash for you, retard. If you really go down the depths of like studying scripture, the liberal arts, and all that stuff, or stories told in entertainment in general, a lot of that stuff comes from Gnosticism, and polytheism. A lot of it has to do with them telling their version of the story of what happened based on the Bible. And again, it's funny because, one could say that AI or technology is from the devil. So why are you using, technology to get your point across? Maybe it's because it's not so much like you can be aware of the origin, but it's in the end how it's being used that can benefit, mankind and whatnot. However, he says that he no longer believes men who watch anime to be a genuine threat to society, but only because they are all morbidly obese and even more fragile than social justice warriors on the left. Walsh's editor team then compared men who watch anime to an inflated Aunt Marge from Harry Potter, a nasty woman who is inflated with so much air that she becomes a balloon and in the movie floats out of the house. Really? That's his best, dude, out of all the things that you could have made a fat joke with, you just chose the Harry Potter one. I feel like that could have been, you could have picked so much of a better meme, I guess you could say, or a choice. So in other segments on his show, and in the shows following the initial statements against anime fans, Walsh doubled down on his related pop culture takes and separately took to task conservative fans of his who spent all day watching anime and being attracted to underage anime. See, this is what it always comes down to. Every time. This is where these boomers always go to when it comes to anime and stuff. Is the assumption of being attracted to underage anime girls. Now, obviously this does stem from the fact of what exactly about it that that you're obsessing over underage anime girls, because there's going to be the lolly cons and all that stuff. There's going to be those type of people there, which Me personally, like, yeah, the minute you start going down the road of like being attracted towards, the lolly, characters, but then try to use the argument of like, well, they're over 500, thousand years old, and it's like, well, I mean, are you saying you're attracted because of that? That's why you're attracted to them, because of their age, or something else? And of course, the argument to that the people would say was like, well, they're not real, and it's like, well, yeah, they're not real, but I mean, are you taking that like, are you should do I need to be worried that one day you're just not going to like lose the idea of what reality is and then start, doing whatever it is you do, in based in anime world, and bringing that to real, to the real life. Now, like to think a lot of people actually know the difference between, reality and fantasy. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't care. And let's be honest, Japanese culture, they always do this. Like they will always make, there'll be anime girls that, have huge tits, huge uh butts and all that stuff. And then you learn later on that they're like, 16 years old or something like that. And it's like, and then that stirs up the whole controversy of down that of, all that stuff. It's to me, Matt Walsh, like again, it's these boomer takes. Like Matt Walsh just seems like a buzzkill at parties. Like just stick to making documents and shut up about your comments about pop culture, because it's clear you have no interest in it. So like, why waste your time bashing it? Just go and do stuff that you're like actually good at, like documentaries or whatever. Reiterating past statements that anime is degenerate and is inappropriate for, quote, grown ass men to be enjoying, Walsh made it clear he wasn't apologizing or retracting any of his previous statements against this segment of pop culture. While some of Walsh's fans agree in calling anime woke, oh my gosh, dude, watch animes back in the 80s and 90s. They were certainly not woke. Others have called him out for needlessly alienating segments of his base. After watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in the past few months, Walsh has also been warring with the fans of the film, calling it one of the worst child's film ever made and saying it was inappropriate both for children and adults. But yet didn't he say he didn't see one or two or something like that? Gosh, he's just so pathetic when it comes to, because he hides behind like his stale attempt at humor. I personally don't think it's humor. I think he's quite terrible at it. But it's his way of coping out and getting back, like weaseling out of the backlash of whatever retarded statements he's saying. He gets called out on it, to where it's like, oh, that's what I think. Again, these are the people that like you actually don't want in the government. Like, for example, in terms of like, your conservatives, your boomer conservatives who don't understand technology. And so they'll just agree with what the opposite side says of, well, we're up to date on this, so we'll explain it how to. Like, this is also the problem too. Like, people like Matt Walsh shouldn't represent the conservative side of pop culture, because they have this sort of attitude too. Keep in mind, is he also said like, you should go, like, unless you're dying, you should be going to work. Never mind that if you have like sickness or whatever and you can spread it to like your coworkers. And again, he's the one that pushes the false reports of, video games cause violence and stuff like that. Ridiculous. I'm gonna switch over to this one real quick because we're getting close to the like a lot of Assassin's Creed's articles coming up here. So coming over to that Park Place, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop producer Yoshimi Yasuda says modern game devs are losing creative freedom. This was done from an interview by Vara Dark. Lollipop Chainsaw holds a special place in the hearts of many gamers. With James Gunn's edgy humor, Juliet's chainsaw swinging charm, and thrilling hack and slash gameplay, it's become a cult classic. Elements like the famous upskirt achievement didn't hurt its appeal either. So when Lollipop Chainsaw Repop released in September 2024, fans were excited and apprehensive. We're both excited and apprehensive. Would it fall victim to the industry's growing trend of censorship and political correctness? Thankfully, Repop stayed true to its roots. While it introduced a Repop mode with toned-down blood and comic-like effects, the original mode preserved all the unapologetic, over-the-top action of the 2012 release. This comment to authenticity earned fan praise but seemingly infuriated major outlets like IGN and Kotaku, which refused to review Repop's release while seemingly releasing hit pieces on its performance issues. Every time. I had the privilege of sitting down with Yoshimi Yasuda, president of Dragami Games and producer of Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. We discussed the team's nerves about remastering the beloved cult classic and balance between artistic visions and market demands, and his philosophy on creating unforgettable game experiences. So I've actually read this already in terms of like of Vara's interview, because she posted it on X. But so I'll kind of skim through this a little bit. But she asked questions like, were you nervous with the task presented to you in terms of working on Repop? Working on Repop was a pretty thrilling experience, and the transition from Unreal Engine 3 to 5 was especially challenging. We were blindsided by how different just 2 generations had made to it. And to be frank, half of the source code had to be rewritten from scratch. On the other hand, advancements in technology let us implement CG expressions that we're unable to put in the original release, bringing a positive spin to the challenges we face, almost making it fun. For example, in the original version, we used special lighting to make Juliet look more pretty in cutscenes, but in Repop, we didn't need to add anything special to make Juliet look better. She was naturally beautiful. And then Vara then continued, the game industry has evolved a lot during your time in it, that is, being CEO and an executive producer and director. Is there anything you missed from the beginning days that you think is missing now? What I miss from the earlier days of the industry here in Japan is the more constructive communication between creators and fans. Here we go. Recently, the trend has been that the new releases are immediately met with criticism, and sometimes these criticisms are based on misunderstandings or wrong interpretations. As a result, true feedback and value is often only available after the release, which leads to creators increasingly avoiding communication with fans. In the past, there seemed to be more room for creators to listen to fan feedback and incorporate it into development, but I feel that this kind of environment has been diminishing in recent years. She then asks if he felt if his artistic vision and creativity are being stifled at all due to market trends. Says, as a game creator who also serves as the CEO, I can take on the responsibility for decisions on such issues, so it doesn't personally worry me much. For example, with a project like Repop, we sought to make a faithful reproduction of the original. We approached development with the primary goal of perfectly recreating the artistry and creative expressed in the original version. However, I do feel that changes in the market are making it hard for game creators to maintain the freedom they once had. The market has become more monopolized, with the winning games dominating the market, meaning the share available for games in second place and beyond continues to shrink. In such market environment, the mental pressure on creators is considerable. When creators lose their freedom, the creativity that drives passion and playfulness in a game tends to be lost as well, and this isn't a good thing. So this is pretty much this looks like this is the whole review, which you can actually read on Vara's X. But we kind of get an idea of kind of like seeing, how the market is affecting the industry, and that, definitely sounds like people wanted to come and make the game as authentic as possible, but they were met with from both sides, both fans and the company. Right here, we've got received 5,000 messages from people who are positive about the return of Lollipop Chainsaw, but notice that many fans were requesting a faithful recreation of the original. So I'm not going to read the whole interview here because you guys can go check it out on Vara's channel. I'm sure she uploaded a video, or on her X, so give her some support. But the main thing is that modern game devs are losing creative freedom because of like how extreme it's gotten in terms like from the company, from the gaming companies themselves to fans now being worried that every sort of return of a franchise they love from the past has a possibility of being bastardized. So, tech for gamers, we're switching over now to Assassin's Creed Shadows. And this is going to lead up to apparently the confirmed information that the reason why the game was delayed was indeed because of Yasuke. But first, Ubisoft removes Japanese videos criticizing Assassin's Creed Shadows, citing hate speech claims. Stupid. Good move there, by the way, Ubisoft. Very good move. Things are finally looking encouraging for Assassin's Creed Shadows after a slew of controversy over the last few months. This isn't encouraging. In particular, recent previews have been positive, and Ubisoft has shared promise updates on the changes to the parkour system. What, that bamboo cutting? Yeah, that looked really positive. Fortunately, it seems the game is inseparable from controversy. Recently, reports pointing to Ubisoft's shifting away from Yasuke for its marketing, and the gaming giant now seems to be taking down videos criticizing the game. Why it matters. Ubisoft has already undergone criticism of its approach to Assassin's Creed Shadows. The last thing publisher needs is another controversy on the hands right ahead of the massive release. So over on Twitter, Grumps reported Shohei Kondo's video was taken down by Ubisoft after he shared a critical overview of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The content creator also replied to the thread stating that the video was removed a whopping 7 times, with hate speech cited as the main reason. As per Shohei Kondo, there is no instance of hate speech in his recent videos. In a follow-up video, the YouTuber shared his thoughts on the situation, highlighting how his content on Assassin's Creed Shadows was meant to offer strict, albeit fair criticism in the context of Japanese culture and heritage. He also stated that the takedown was extremely saddening and disheartening. Fortunately, the YouTuber has been able to restore his video after multiple days of back and forth with the YouTube teams. The point being is that he never should have to do that to begin with, because these guys are a bunch of pussies. Again, I've said this on stream before. I've made a couple posts about it on X. Ubisoft apparently is happy to take the mantle of being the first huge AAA studio, in my opinion, to go down with the ship and to burn everything that Ubisoft could be ever remembered for to the ground with this stupid, retarded censorship. But thankfully, now that Trump's around, and DEI hopefully will be dying at a rather quick pace, and I think it is too. As for Ubisoft, the gaming giant has stated in the past that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not meant to represent historical accuracy, even though they said it was. However, many Japanese people still feel strongly about the publisher's portrayal of Japan and its history. And it ties in to something about this as well, as we jump over to Niche Gamer, since we're talking about Ubisoft censoring, simple criticism of the game. Apparently, they're now censoring gore and violence for the Japanese release. Assassin's Creed Shadows will be releasing in Japan with censored graphics in order to appease the country's Zero ratings board. To their credit, the company announced the changes in order to inform players ahead of the game's release, and this was made official on the Japanese X account. right here. Big changes include the removal of the option to turn gore and amputations off or on, with the Japanese version being unable to show such violence. Doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like the opposite of a lot of things. Like over here, we can show a lot of violence and stuff like that, but sex, is that sort of thing. And it's like over on the other side, sex and that stuff is perfectly fine, but violence is like different. The announcement also includes a cryptic line stating some of the Japanese audio played in the overseas version, North America and Europe, has been changed. It's unclear what Ubisoft means by this. Since Assassin's Creed Shadows was announced, players have been critical of Ubisoft's alleged commitment to historical accuracy, with some of the criticisms coming from Japan. Speculatively, the changes in the Japanese version may be done to obfuscate any creative liberties taken from Japanese audience who may know Japanese history better than Western fans. See, that's the thing that still gets me to the most, that these white, blue-dyed faggots like have the gall to say, look, we know how to represent your culture by ways of using a historical figure that we happen to stumble upon who has so little information about him that we can just make up whatever we want. Like, it still gets me. It still gets me good. And the fact that in the end they're doubling down on it. Oh no, it was historical accuracy. Oh, but now it's not anymore. Like, the goalposts just keep moving. Speculative, the changes in the Japanese version may be done. I already read that. Situations like this make it important to remember that while the West is more trigger happy with censorship, especially when it comes to anything sexual provocative. Hey, I literally just talked about this. Japan has its own problems with censoring violence. And it tells you when Assassin's Creed Shadows will be released, but we don't give a shit about that. All right, so we are now at the one that definitely caught my eye, and that is from That Park Place exclusive. Assassin's Creed Shadows delay was indeed to scale back Yasuke after the historical backlash. A That Park Place source has confirmed that Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows in order to make narrative cuts that severely limit the role of Yasuke in the story. Ubisoft made headlines recently by delaying the game a whole month. Many assumed at the time that Shadows was a buggy mess similar to Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws when it launched. And while that may have been true, early hands-on streams have shown more than a few glitches and bugs. We have it on good authority that there's something else going on behind the scenes. And I think a lot of people called out this too. Yasuke's fall from grace. They shift the focus to Naoe. As Ubisoft host SkillUp mentioned after playing the game for 5 hours, he primarily played as Yasuke, but noted that the experience was vastly different and inferior compared to playing as Naoe. According to him, Yasuke lacks the same versatility as Naoe, not just in combat, but also in exploration. Surprisingly, Yasuke doesn't have the same opportunities, such as climbing high towers. This gave the impression that Yasuke is locked into a more limited, one-dimensional role within the game. Well, I already have a problem with this. He shouldn't even be in there to begin with. I mean, you're already losing so much more money going into, like, fixing up all this stuff. Just go in all the way and rewrite the whole damn story. Go back to what supposedly Endymion said in terms of, like, it being that monk that was supposed to be the main character. But then when the whole George Floyd thing happened, they switched gears. So the above statement aligns with a rumor recently communicated by a That Park Place source speaking under the conditions of anonymity. Anonymously. We'll just say anonymously. According to our source, the $200 million delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows was not merely to polish the game, but to shift focus away from Yasuke as the main protagonist. Evidence of this can already be seen in the marketing, where Yasuke is increasingly absent from prominent posters that feature Naoe more prominently instead. This appears to be a reaction to the backlash Ubisoft has faced, not only from longtime fans of the franchise, but also from many Japanese critics, angered by Yasuke's portrayal as a far more significant historical figure than he actually was. Furthermore, rumors suggest that many of Yasuke's quests, including main and side content, have been removed or heavily altered. These cuts are reportedly intended to avoid offending Japanese audience and historians who have criticized the game's historical inaccuracy. A significant portion of the controversy ties back to Thomas Lockley. What's up, X-Max over on YouTube? Whose work Ubisoft allegedly used as the primary inspiration for Yasuke's character. I think it was literally the only work that they used. Because there was the one Japanese, I think, a social, commentary creator, or I can't remember who it was, but I remember reading about how someone literally went to the historical records and got all of the historical record about Yasuke and posted it online of what it is about. And it is nothing compared to what Thomas Lockley wrote. Lockley, who co-authored African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, has been accused of grossly exaggerating and fabricating much of Yasuke's history. His portrayal has been widely debunked by historians who argue that Yasuke was likely a bodyguard and servant rather than a, quote, legendary samurai, as Lockley claimed. Lockley's dismissal from discussion around the game has been subtle but noticeable. Ubisoft initially promoted him as a key source for the character, but has since gone silent on his involvement. This silence coincides with a wave of backlash from scholars, particularly in Japan, who criticize Lockley's claims as speculative at best and outright false at worst. Worse. It's rumored that some of Yasuke's cut content in the game, including quests tied to his supposed rise as a samurai, were directly influenced by Lockley's work and later removed to avoid further controversy. Ubisoft's response to this backlash seems to indicate a shift in marketing focus, with greater emphasis on Naoe's parkour system and the game's shinobi elements. Trailers that initially highlighted Yasuke's samurai way during the game's announcement are now conspicuously less centered on him, reflecting a clear pivot in how the game is presented. Whether this last-minute reworking can salvage the project, it will not, or not, remains to be seen, but the changes seems like a desperate attempt to appease critics and salvage public perception. The only way Ubisoft can make up for this is literally to redo the whole game. I am sorry, Ubisoft, but not really. That's what needs to happen. And at this point, burn, baby, burn. That circus tent is on fire, and you guys are willing to stay underneath it. And that's your choice. A retarded choice, but yours nonetheless. So from Samurai to Creed, Ubisoft rewrites Yasuke's role in Assassin's Creed Shadows. But it doesn't end there. Our sources state that Ubisoft's change in approach has gone even further. The delay was used to refine Naoe's parkour system significantly and to heavily alter many dialogue's interactions between Yasuke, Naoe, and NPCs throughout the story. However, as our source mentioned, they can only do so much. Oh, so much. Aside just canceling the game. Among these dialogue changes were discussions where Yasuke was previously presented as a samurai and celebrated for his renown among Japanese NPCs. Now it seems this has been altered focus on the Creed, which is what it should have been on the first place, which will be built by both main characters, with Naoe taking a more prominent role. Ubisoft has also reworked cutscenes where Yasuke was initially featured more prominently with Naoe, now portrayed as the driving force of the duo. From what we understand, it feels almost as though Naoe has taken the lead role, even though players will still have the option to switch between the two characters. Our source also stated that the delay was primarily aimed at reevaluating Yasuke's role to avoid further bad press from, quote, historical fanatics. Ubisoft reportedly sought to minimize criticism from Japanese historians by making the game more historically accurate where possible. However, as seen in recent previews, many inaccuracies still remain. For instance, watermelons were not introduced to Japan during the Sengoku era, the 15th to 16th century, despite their presence in the game. Oh my gosh. See, these people they did no research. I would not be surprised if they literally took everything from that damn Thomas Lockley book and just said, we're making this into a game. That's probably what they did. Watermelons were brought to Japan much later during the Edo period, likely via Chinese traders in the 17th century. Additionally, the game's depiction of Japanese seasons is historically and geographically inaccurate, with cherry blossoms incorrectly shown blooming during summer rather than spring. A glaring mistake given how ironic and excuse me, and culturally significant the sakura season is in Japan. So, how much did they really try to change? According to our source, the most egregious inaccuracies were related to Yasuke's portrayal, and efforts were made to mitigate these issues. However, they added that there are still individuals within Ubisoft who remain adamant that Yasuke's character will resonate with players and become a success despite the backlash and mounting criticism. Let's go, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh, it's going all right. It's going straight to the fire. This sucker is burning down bad. Ubisoft's struggle deepen as Shadows faces a lukewarm receptive. A lukewarm receptive? Oh, that Park Place. That's being too kind. Either way, it's shaping up to be a terrible month for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and an even worse start to the year for Ubisoft. It doesn't help their case that Rise of the Ronin, another samurai-themed game developed by Team Ninja, the creators of Nioh and Ninja Gaiden, I actually need to play those, has been well received and recently announced its PC release date for March 11th, just 9 days before Shadow. Oh, ouch. That stings. This timing will almost certainly siphon players away from Ubisoft, especially since Rise of the Ronin is expected to deliver a far more accurate and authentic samurai experience. One can't help but wonder if this was a deliberate move by the Japanese developer of Rise of the Ronin to send a pointed message to Ubisoft about their blatant historical ignorance. Oh, I hope it was. I sure hope it was. That is amazing. Loki says, nah, I still want the game. Hey, it's your money, dude. I think it's money wasted, but do what you want. Rise of the Ronin is a great game. Yeah, I need to play that, Nioh, and other Ninja Gaiden. I need to get Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, since I've actually played and beaten Ninja Gaiden Black. I suspect we'll hear more insider leaks about the troubled production of Shadows once the game officially releases, which, based on current projections, seems destined for a lukewarm reception. But before that, there's still an entire month ahead. And there you guys go. That was the exclusive article that caught my eye from that Park Place. So confirmed with that Park Place being confident on their source that it was indeed delayed because of the Yasuke backlash. Got some other articles here too, in terms of like a commentary as well. Oh wait, that's censors. Whoops. Tech for Gamers also had something like this as well. Ubisoft reportedly delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to limit Yasuke's role. After the failure of Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to polish the game further, or at least that is what it told us. However, the title recently faced another delay, and the company wanted to polish the parkour even more and implement players' feedback. Seems like there weren't the only reasons why AC Shadows was delayed. Sources have revealed that the game was delayed to limit the role of Yasuke and focus more on Nioh. Why does this matter? Well, Yasuke received really harsh treatment from the majority of the fans. Japanese felt insulted by the fact that Ubisoft has chosen Yasuke as the main character instead of a Japanese samurai, and it became a national issue in Japan. That Park Place has recently revealed that the game was delayed because of Yasuke. The source reveals that the $200 million delay wasn't just because Ubisoft wanted to polish the game. It aimed to shift focus from Yasuke as the main character. And a YouTuber, Skill Up, has played Assassin's Creed Shadows for 5 hours and claimed that the experience of playing as Yasuke was way inferior compared to Nioh. He said that Naoi offers more versatility in both combat and exploration, making her the better option out of the two. Yasuke doesn't seem to have many abilities except for brute strength, and Ubisoft has also focused the entire parkour section on Naoi. Gaming Giant is further polishing the parkour mechanic, which aligns with the rumor as it aims to make Naoi the main character of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It could also be noted that Ubisoft has removed Yasuke from the pre-order banner, and is now focused more on Naoi. The point further backs the rumor, making it highly believable. However, it is still a rumor, so we recommend taking it with a grain of salt. Oh, I am dumping that salt on my steak. I will gladly take that salt and dump it on my steak because I think it's true. I want my steak. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today. Got a lot of interesting articles here. That one definitely caught my eye from That Park Place. So thank you, That Park Place, for all that. Guess we can try to see. I saw this. Daredevil Born Again will ignore all connections to She-Hulk series, showrunner confirms. Uh-oh. Captain America Brave New World star Anthony Mackie tells European audience character should not represent America. Then you're not Captain America. That makes no sense. No, Super Mario Run apparently gets an updated. Oh, I saw that. Josh Brolin won't be Clayface in an upcoming DC film. Yeah, That Park Place has a lot of good stuff here. I want to read Daredevil Born Again. We'll wrap it up with this real quick. So the showrunner Dario Scardapane has officially confirmed what many fans hope to hear. Daredevil's controversial appearance in She-Hulk Attorney at Law included his much maligned walk of shame and one-night stand with Jennifer Walters will be ignored in the Disney Plus revival. This revelation, which came during an interview with SFX magazine, aligns with what appears to be a broader effort by Marvel to quietly distance themselves from the She-Hulk debacle. They need to distance themselves from a lot of stuff. Scardapane stated that while Daredevil's past Marvel Cinematic Universe appearances are technically canon, his approach to Born Again allows for selective acknowledgement of those events. You could say that Daredevil is canon in the MCU. Those other events happened, but some of them we are not leaning into, explained, adding his one-night stand with She-Hulk may be one of those things. For fans who are outraged by She-Hulk's comedic portrayal of Daredevil, this is a step in the right direction. Well, it would have to have been funny to be comedic. I mean, they needed to add a poor attempt at a comedic portrayal. Or a comedic situation. Marvel's decision to sideline She-Hulk appears to go beyond Daredevil Born Again. Actress Tatiana Maslany, who starred as the titular character, has admitted that a second season of She-Hulk is unlikely. And additionally, Disney's Plus removed the series from its prominent Marvel banner, replacing She-Hulk with old Deadpool. While Disney has not officially commented on the decision, the move speaks volumes about the company's desire to quietly sweep She-Hulk under the rug. It's not hard to see why. Marvel is eager to move on. She-Hulk Attorney at Law was once of the most divisive show in MCU history, facing backlash for its overt embrace by identity politics and its dismissive attitude towards fans. One particular infamous scene featured Jennifer Walters belittling Bruce Banner's pain and rage, rooted in years of trauma and tragedy, by comparing it to her experiences of being, quote, catcalled on the streets. Oh. For many fans, this moment exemplified the show's tone-deaf approach to storytelling. The series doubled down on the controversial stance by making, quote, toxic fans the main villains of its narrative, in an apparent attempt to address criticism of Marvel's increasingly female-focused direction. Doing so alienated even more viewers. By outwardly mocking and vilifying the critics, the show abandoned the nuance and subtlety that once defined Marvel's storytelling And then fans who raised legitimate concerns were dismissed as toxic, leaving little room for constructive dialogue. Yeah, so we're kind of getting a recap here. They're probably just they're just padding the article here. Scarpane's decision to distance Born Again from She-Hulk may be an acknowledgement of this missteps. However, his criticism of Netflix's Daredevil series, calling it overly introspective and accusing it of navel-gazing, threatens to undermine the goodwill he's gaining with fans. As noted in earlier coverages, Scarpane's dismissal on the original series' thoughtful storytelling, praising for its exploration of Matt Murdock's inner struggles, has frustrated longtime fans. Still, the decision to abandon She-Hulk controversial elements gives Born Again a fighting chance. Fans can take comfort knowing that the Daredevil walking the streets of New York in this series won't be the same one making cringe-worthy walk of shame gags. But if Scarpanes truly wants to win over fans, he would do well to embrace the depth and introspection that the Netflix Daredevil that made Netflix's Daredevil such a success. Real question now is whether Born Again could strike a balance between honoring the character's rich history and carving out a fresh direction. Well, put the Punisher in there. Make Punisher great again. All right. With that, I'm going to end it there. We were on YouTube, Rebel, and X, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Time, gaming. If not, then hopefully we'll be back later in the week. Again, I usually try to stream around 8 p.m. Central Time. But thanks to everyone who hung out with me. Thanks for your support. God bless, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Until then.